everybody, and welcome to the final episode of the Nintendo Switch launch special. My name is Chris, aka Big C. So one thing that I've been asked several times whenever I've been doing my various Switch videos is to do a more hands-on review, so to speak, of the console itself. I don't typically do reviews. I used to do them a while ago when I first started BigCTV and stopped mostly because, to be honest, I think reviews, you have to really experience something to really understand how it works. And I still feel that way. Even though a game may not get a great review or something like that, I have to try it for myself and feel what I think about it. That being said, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you basically my review impressions. So this is not a scored review. This is not, a definitive anything regarding the Switch. This is just me giving you my overall thoughts. I've had about 5 days with it right now, so I wanted to share those with you. And hopefully it will help if you're on the fence about picking up a Switch. Hopefully this will make it easier or harder, depending on your thought process. So, of course, I have my beautiful Nintendo Switch. Here it is. It's a great little system, based on what I've experienced with it. So, the main things I like about it. First of all, the handheld mode is probably my favorite aspect because, as someone with large hands, see, I have good sized hands. Playing a handheld gaming system typically can be a little bit of a chore, especially something like a 3DS or a Vita, because they're small. They're not humongous devices. I mean, I have an iPhone 6 and I can play games on it fairly easily, but there are times where I'm trying to type something and my giant thumbs get in the way. I don't have that problem with the Switch just because it's a good size. It feels really comfortable to hold it in handheld mode. You can move the thumbsticks, which are really well put together. The buttons feel good. The triggers feel good. It feels really comfortable as a portable system. So I've really enjoyed playing it in handheld mode. I feel that's the mode that I think it excels in the most. And that's also the mode I've spent the most time with, although I have tried all three modes. Tabletop mode, I think, is one of the most unique modes of the Switch, just because it gives you a way to play multiplayer games anywhere. And I think that's really exciting. Yeah, you can play single-player games, too, in tabletop mode, but I think the idea behind it is, hey, you and your friends are out, you want to play a game, you pull out your Switch, you detach the two Joy-Cons, and you're good to go. And I think it works really well. I've only tried one game with tabletop mode, and that, of course, is 1-2-Switch, which is a game that is kind of designed for tabletop mode. But I've played it a couple times now, played a whole bunch of different mini-games, and it works very well. The tabletop mode functions well. Now, I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit different when we have a game like Mario Kart out where you have to look at it split screen. But if you're just looking at it for a game like 1-2-Switch, I think it works very well. It's responsive. I haven't really had that many issues with anything regarding the tabletop mode. I mean, I've had on occasion the Joy-Con maybe desyncing for a second, but it's never a particularly long period of time. I think I've had it happen twice in the entire time I've played. And several of the games in 1-2-Switch require you to be pretty far away from the system, so I think it's just a fluke or maybe someone hit it the wrong way. But I've had no major issues in terms of playing it in tabletop mode and experiencing that. I think TV mode is really good as well, or dock mode as they officially call it. Zelda looks fantastic, either in handheld mode or in dock mode. Obviously in dock mode it is 900p, and it looks great on my giant TV. I will definitely say, if you are thinking about getting a Switch, I highly recommend pick up a Pro controller. Because This controller is really good. It's actually one of my favorite gaming controllers, and that says something. Um, Now, I've had a Wii U Pro controller in the past, and that felt pretty good, but I mean, it felt a little odd at the same time. It's much more flimsy. This is a legitimately good controller. Um, of course, I'm a big fan of the non-balanced thumbsticks. It kind of matches one of my all-time favorite controller, which is the Xbox One controller. Um, the buttons feel really good. It feels a little hefty, so it definitely is a well-built controller. I like the fact that the finish is kind of see-through, so you can kind of see what goes on inside. Um, the buttons are really comfortable. Everything just feels solid, and it's a game. It's a console controller that really feels good. So it's a little pricey at $70, but honestly, if you're gonna play your Switch at home a lot, I would honestly recommend picking this up. I've played Zelda with it a fair amount. It feels really good. So highly recommend picking up a Pro controller. It's very, very solid. Um, all three modes I think are really good. The system has a lot of unique things about it, and I think the fact that there are three different ways to play the system itself really showcases that. All three are good in their own rights. I'd say my favorite has to be the handheld mode, just because it's a really good handheld. If you're treating it as a handheld, it's a really good handheld. Um, so I think that's really positive. The UI for the system is very simplistic, but it works well. Let me pull that up real quick. So this is the UI for the Switch. It's very simple. I mean, you have boxes and you have a small options menu at the bottom. It's not very simplistic, or it is very simplistic, but what is very impressive about it is how quickly your games will load. So like, I'm going to press A to load Zelda. Select my profile. And boom, I'm already in the game. Especially if you were just playing a game and you don't have to load it. It has to load initially because I switched it to a different game later on. But like, it can do some really cool stuff because of the fact that it's so quick and so snappy and kind of minimalist. So I really appreciate that aspect, especially like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4's UIs can be a little clunky, especially the Xbox One. PS4 is a little smoother, but this is a really, really smooth, very quick UI system, and I think it works very well for the Switch itself. So you notice now I have Zelda loaded, so I'm going to go home. I'm going to turn off my system, put it in sleep mode. So it's in sleep mode. I turn it back on. Unlock it by pressing the home button 3 times. If I want to load Zelda, I press the A button. I'm immediately back to where I was before. So it's pretty much instantaneous. It's really impressive. So I really like the UI. Obviously, there's some stuff that it doesn't do yet that people are looking for. I mean, I want to see more of a friends list online platform. The online service has not launched yet. It's supposed to launch in the summer, I'm assuming, with Splatoon 2. But obviously we want to see how online play is going to work on the Switch. The eShop is very minimalist right now. That's because there's not much on it. Obviously, for this console to be successful, they need more games. And launching with 7 is kind of rough. I mean, granted, one of them is Zelda, which is a truly amazing game. So that kind of takes people's minds off of it. But if you don't like Zelda or you don't want to play Zelda, there's not a lot to play on that system. So hopefully Nintendo will continue to release new games throughout the course of the Switch's first year, especially pretty consistently, so that people have stuff to play. Especially like once they finish Zelda, they're going to want more stuff to play on it. And right now there's really not much. So they really need to crank those games out. But as a system, I really like it. Couple gripes I have: the Joy-Con straps. They're kind of tough to get off. Not much is explained in terms of how to put the straps on and off. Like, you know how to put them on, but taking them off can be a bit of a chore. Sometimes you got to really work on it because basically the only way you do it is on the back of the system. There's that little black dot, so you have to press down the dot and pull down on the strap to get it off. Now, off the system, it's pretty simple. It works well. But the strap, you sometimes have to fight it. There's actually a lock, a gray piece of plastic that's a lock at the bottom of the strap. You have to make sure those are unengaged, or else that could cause some problems either to your Joy-Cons or to the strap. So those are a little tricky. I wish they made it a little simpler in terms of how to get them on and off. But I mean, I haven't had any issues with them yet. I've had a couple times where I have to fight a little bit to get it off, but everything works fine. I've had no issues. So that's just one little gripe. I will say, though, the Joy-Con controllers are extremely impressive. And honestly, the way to really appreciate them is playing 1-2 Switch. I understand a lot of people were upset when that game was not a pack-in title. I understand why it wasn't, because they wanted to keep the cost of the system down so that you could, instead of paying for a system and 1-2 Switch, you could pay for Zelda and save some money if you didn't want to play 1-2 Switch. But, I mean, it's a really impressive game in terms of the technology. The ball count minigame in 1-2 Switch really showcases how impressive that HD Rumble is, and trust me, it is very impressive. The Joy-Cons feel really sturdy. They're definitely not flimsy. They feel good. They are kind of small on their own, but honestly, I think, again, this is just based on what is out now. They feel pretty good, and the strap does make them feel a little bit better. I have not really played anything with them, like, not in handheld mode, just because I have a Pro Controller. So if I'm going to play a game on my TV, I'm going to use the Pro Controller because it feels fantastic. So I have not actually done that. So if you're looking for a review of how the Joy-Cons and the grip are, I have not done it. But in terms of the use for the handheld mode and for 1-2 Switch specifically in tabletop mode, they feel really good, and I think they're well built, they're sturdy, and the technology involved in them is really impressive. So I really hope that more games, especially stuff like WarioWare and Mario Party, really utilize what makes the Joy-Con special. So overall, I like the system. I think the Switch is a very solid system. It's unique. And I think that's the biggest thing that Nintendo is going for. They want to make a system. It's not here to compete with the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. It is there to be its own thing, and it does that well. If you're looking for just the next step up for a handheld, the Switch is a great choice. That's really what this is. It's a good home console, but honestly, I think its strongest point is as a handheld device. Although the Pro Controller is fantastic and it feels really good to play Nintendo games on your giant screen with a high resolution with that Pro Controller. But I think definitely the biggest reasons why you want to Switch are to play it in handheld mode by yourself, or pop up that kickstand, pull off your Joy-Cons, and do that tabletop mode for some quick and easy co-op. But yeah, so I recommend the Switch. However, I would say if you're looking to get the Switch as your only video game console, I would not look at it in that sense, because there's just not a lot of games on it right now. I'm sure later on in its life it's going to get a lot more, but if you're looking for, your first current video game console, I would definitely go after either an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, just because both of those systems are well more established and have way more games on them. They also have, a little less than a 4-year head start over the Switch in terms of their online communities and whatnot. Also, if online play is what you are mostly looking for in a video game system, you do not want to buy the Switch because we don't know what the online play is going to be like. There's still a lot that Nintendo has not established about it, so if you're looking purely for online play, you want to look somewhere else. But if you're looking for either just a handheld system or like a second or third console, and are a big fan of Nintendo games, I think the Switch is a solid option. So personally, I'm very happy with my purchase, and I have enjoyed playing the games. Again, not going into any review territory, but I just want to share the fact that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild continues to impress me the more I play it. I've never been a super big Legend of Zelda fan, mostly because I'm not a huge puzzle person. And I know that's a big part of the Legend of Zelda series, is it's a lot of puzzle solving. That being said, I've really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and the more I play it, the more I appreciate it. Just the little details that they put into that game, and just the sheer beauty of the giant open world. Is absolutely breathtaking. So I'm playing that and Horizon Zero Dawn at the same time, and both are very different. Horizon is much more story based and a lot more combat focused. Zelda is much more puzzle focused, and there's just so much to do in the world besides just story points and combat. So it's actually really refreshing to play these two absolutely beautiful, incredible open world games at the same time, because yes, they are technically the same genre, but they're both so different from each other. It's fantastic, and the fact that I can play Breath of the Wild on the go makes it even better. So I've really enjoyed my time with the Switch. I've really enjoyed my time with Breath of the Wild, and I honestly think people should not sleep on 1-2 Switch. It's a really good game. Yeah, $50 may be a little bit steep for it, but honestly, if you're planning on having parties or inviting friends over to play a board game night or any kind of social gathering, 1-2 Switch is a lot of fun. I mean, the mini games are short, they're stupid, but they're very enjoyable, and they really show off what the Nintendo Switch can do. So I honestly feel it's perfect for big social gatherings or times where you want to show off your new toy. So yeah, $50 might be a little bit steep, so it might not be a bad idea to try to wait for a price cut, although Nintendo games notoriously do not get price cuts very often. But if you really want to show off what the Switch can do, or if you want to see for yourself what the Switch can really do, and especially what the Joy-Cons can do, I would definitely pick up 1-2 Switch. It will be worth your time. So that is my basic review impressions of the Nintendo Switch. And that is going to do it for the Nintendo Switch launch special. I hope you enjoyed all of these videos that I have produced. And I hope that they've been informative, as well as, helped harness that excitement that surrounds whenever a new console comes out. Now, of course, I'm sure a lot of you know, if you're watching this video and you're a big gamer, that the Xbox Scorpio is coming out later this year. We don't know what it's officially called yet. Right now it's just Project Scorpio. I do intend on getting one when it comes out. I don't know when that is or how much money it's going to cost, but I would like to get one as a big Xbox supporter. Of course, my first launch special series was for the Xbox One itself, so of course I want to pick up the next version of the Xbox One, which is the Xbox Scorpio. So if you want to see another launch special series of videos similar to this one, or my Xbox One launch special, you might be getting another one later this year with the launch of the Xbox Project Scorpio. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's going to do it for the Nintendo Switch launch special. If you enjoyed this video, or any of them, please be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. Both are at BigCTV. Follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter at BigCTV Show. And if you want to help shape the future of BigCTV, become a Patreon patron by going to patreon.com/BigCTV or clicking the link in the description below, and you can help fund future projects, including my future scripted series and a few other things. And I have just issued a challenge For anybody who's a big fan of my videos, of course, a lot of you know that apparently Nintendo Switch consoles, or not consoles, but cartridges, taste bad intentionally because Nintendo doesn't want children putting them in their mouths. Well, there's kind of become a goofy thing that people seem to be doing where they're taste testing Nintendo Switch cartridges. And of course, the fact that I know it's not going to taste good has kind of discouraged me from doing one. I don't like to taste things that I know are not going to be good, but I am willing to do it. If someone wants to see me do a taste test of a Nintendo Switch game, I will do it. If I can get $25 additional from Patreon. So if you want to see me do a Nintendo Switch taste test video, go to patreon.com/BigCTV or click the link in the description below, and you can support anything between $1 to, I think the max is $80, but if I can get $25 in addition to my existing supporter, I am willing to do a Nintendo Switch cartridge taste test. So if you want to see me do one, hop on there. You can pick as low as $1, $5, $10, and then if you don't want to continue to support my videos, you can cancel after a month. That's fine, or not if you want to keep seeing great content coming from me. Yeah, so if you want to see me do a taste test for Switch games, that's the way to do it. So anyway, thank you for watching the Nintendo Switch launch special, and I'll see you next time. Bye.